All right, all right, all right. Live webinar, 2 p.m. What is today? Wednesday, February 3rd. We're going to go for an hour. I'm going to close my door, give it a minute for the room to fill up, and we're going to get started. Today's webinar is going to be all about flipping houses 101. Be right back. All right, all right, all right. Got a few people in the room. We're going to get started here in just 1 or 2 minutes. I promise we're not going to delay. But before we get started, I just want to make sure that you all can hear me. We're using some new software, and I want to just make sure that I'm not talking to myself for an hour. So please go into the comments area if you can. Drop a comment. Let me know that you can see me and that you can hear me. And as soon as I have confirmation, we're going to jump on in and we're going to get started today. I'm excited. I'm in a good mood today. So we're going to talk about flipping houses. This is Flipping Houses 101. So guys and girls, do me a favor, please, pretty please, make a comment. Let me know that you can see me and that you can hear me. Again, I don't want to try to do this for about an hour, give or take, and be talking to myself. All right. I haven't done a free webinar like this in quite some time, so I'm excited. This is going to be fun today, guys and girls. I am excited. Let me see. I'm going to send a message to my team, make sure they can hear me. Guys and girls, if you can hear me, my microphone is working. Let me know. Keith B says live. Keith, can you hear me, buddy? If you can hear me, I'm going to rock and roll. We're going to jump on in, but I don't want to get started until I have confirmation that you all can hear me and see me, because I am seeing a different screen than you all are. And again, I'd hate to be doing this. We can hear you and see you. All right, Dean, appreciate you. We're going to get started. That's all I needed. It only took 2 minutes. Not bad. All right, cool. Guys and girls, today we are going to talk about wholesaling 101. I'm sorry, house flipping 101. It's kind of the same thing in a way, but not necessarily. House flipping, there's so many different ways to flip houses. And I love wholesaling because it's probably one of the easiest ways to flip houses. But again, we are going to be focusing on house flipping 101. Let me get one window up real quick before we get started. And then I got a nice little presentation for you all. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's do it. Okay, so again, today's presentation, House Flipping 101. We're going to jump in. And really quick, before we do so, I want to give you guys a quick intro of who I am. I promise I'll keep this short, under a minute. But for those of you that are just joining me, don't know who I am, my name is David Dodge. I am a St. Louis, Missouri, local native, born and raised real estate investor. I love flipping houses. I've been investing in real estate for almost 20 years, and I've been full-time for about 8, probably going on 9 at this point. I've done about 1,000 transactions, give or take. Wholesaled well over 700 houses in the last 8 to 9 years. I've done the Burr method, or I love the Burr method, to acquire rental properties with little to none of my own money, almost 200 times. And, my partner Mike and I, we typically have at least 2 or 3 fix and flips going at any time. So we're constantly wholesaling, constantly fix and flipping, constantly adding rentals to our portfolio. We even sell rental properties turnkey to investors. I'm also a coach and a mentor as well. So all things real estate, I am super, super passionate about. And I love helping people get their first deal. I love helping people grow their businesses from just doing maybe 1 deal a month to doing 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 deals a month. All of these things are a passion of mine. I haven't done a free training webinar like this in a couple weeks, and I'm excited to do this. I love doing these type of things. So I really want to thank everybody for coming out today and giving me some of your time. And my goal is to teach you a few things about flipping houses. I would go as far as say as I am an expert at flipping houses. I've flipped about 1,000 of them, give or take. Maybe about 950 to be exact, but I'm gonna round up. So with that being said, let's jump in. I have some slides that I'm gonna go through. So guys, here it is, Flipping Houses 101 by David Dodge. And again, I can see the comments, at least from Keith and Dean and Marjorie and Lisa. So if you have some comments about the slides, go ahead and drop a comment, and I will do my best to get to those as we get through the presentation. All right, so again, House Flipping 101. And here's the process. It's really just a simple 5 steps to closing a deal and to flipping a house, all right? Number 1 is we need to market for leads, and then we need to contact sellers. And the whole purpose of this is to try to make friends with people. And I know that may seem kind of crazy, but people want to do business with people that they are friends with and that they know and they like and they trust. And really that is referred to as building rapport. So building rapport with somebody, another way to word that is just make a friend with them. Like, don't overthink it. This is so simple. But again, we are going to need to market for leads. Now, when it comes to marketing for leads, and we're going to get into this step a little bit more down the road here in a minute, but we're either going to need to invest time or money into the process of marketing for leads. Marketing, in my personal opinion, is just a fancy word for getting people on the phone. That's all it means. Either you can pick up the phone and call people, right? And maybe call them, text them, whatever. Or you can do some sort of marketing, like send a direct mail postcard to somebody or place a bandit sign to where they call you. But at the end of the day, marketing just means get people on the phone. And ideally, because this is all about flipping houses, people that own houses that are interested in selling those houses so you can buy those houses. All right? So keep that in mind. This is a marketing business before it's any other business, my friends. I can promise you that. Step 1, we're going to market for these leads. Time or money is what marketing is, and it gets people on the phone. So we can contact these individuals, and then we can make a friend. Moving on. Step number 2, we're going to set an appointment with the seller so we can view the house. I don't know about you, but I don't buy houses that I don't get my eyes on, or at least somebody on my team gets eyes on. We do not buy houses sight unseen, and I don't recommend you do it either. That is a crazy high level of risk. You got to get out and you got to view these houses. So I'm a big proponent and trying to think of the right verbiage here. I'm a big local person, meaning I like to focus on my local market. And when I coach people, I try to focus and coach them on to focus on their local market. Now, there may be some individuals here that want to do this virtually because of the market that they live in, and that's fine. So whenever you are setting the appointment to view the house, maybe it's not you that's going out to view the house. Maybe it's a partner or a colleague or an assistant or somebody that's local. But regardless, you should be sending somebody out to view the house. Additionally, when you go out and you view the house and you set an appointment, this gives you opportunity to build rapport. This gives you opportunity to get them to know you and like you or whoever your representative is, as well as to get them to trust you. All right? I love going on appointments, shaking hands with people, looking them in the eye, smiling, and listening. These are the things that are going to get people to know you and like you and ideally get them to trust you. It's so incredibly important that we build rapport. And there's no better way to build rapport than to do it face-to-face with people. Now, can you build rapport over the phone? I'm not going to argue, Yeah, maybe. But are you going to be able to build enough rapport? Maybe, maybe not. Are you going to be able to build more rapport if you're just on the phone with the seller and I show up at their front door? I'll challenge you to that every day of the week. I'm going to win every single time if I'm in person, because it's going to give me the ability to make a friend. Making a friend on the phone is going to be much more difficult than actually doing that in person. So you really, really want to focus on setting appointments, guys, and getting out and viewing properties. Step number 3 is you're going to determine and make an offer. You're going to determine the offer, hopefully at the appointment. You're going to look at some of the comps, and you're going to look at the repairs, and you're going to use a simple formula that we're going to get to in a later slide that's going to help you determine what a good offer is. But most importantly, you need to make the offer. Step 4 is to get that contract signed. Now, maybe you can get that contract signed while you're out on the appointment, right after you make an offer. And step 2, 3, and 4 can happen sometimes in 30 minutes time. Like really, really quick. But you may not be prepared on your appointment. Or you might not know what to offer. So you're going to need to go home and run some comps and determine what that number needs to look like and make that offer at a later time. Maybe it's that evening, maybe it's the following day. But do not let it get too far out. If you let it go beyond one day, 24 hours, the odds of you not making the offer increase greatly. So personally, I want to make an offer to them right away, ideally at their house on the appointment. And if I can get that contract signed right then and there, awesome. If I can't, then I am going to follow up with them over and over and over again until they sign my contract or until they sell it to somebody else. But ideally, they sell it to me or to you. And then step 5 is going to be then to determine your exit strategy. Now, notice, I got to move my little thing for a second here. Notice on page 1 here, slide 1, we're talking about flipping houses. This is the 101, right? Well, there's actually a lot of different ways to flip a house, folks. We can wholesale the house. We can fix it up and sell it retail with a fix and flip. We can wholesale it. We can joint venture with another investor and maybe use one of their strategies. We can list the home, right? We might want to sell it with creative financing or on lease options or whatever it may be. There is tons of different ways to actually flip the property. And that really kind of comes down to what exit strategy you want to use. So again, for this sake of this conversation and this webinar and this training, we're going to keep it kind of broad because there's so many different exits. And we could essentially do a whole webinar on each of these exit strategies. So again, we're going to keep it simple. So once we get that contract signed, then we are going to determine our exit strategy. Guys and girls, if you are enjoying this so far, hit the like button for me. Help me out. I love doing these, but I just want to make sure that you guys also love it. And the way I know that is by hitting that like button. So I appreciate that. All right, next, let's talk about what REIs or real estate investors actually do, right? I get this all the time. Dave, what do real estate investors do? How does it work is really the question I'm asking, right? Well, the answer to that is we solve problems for people, all right? If we're going to get a great deal on a property, do you think that people are just going to give us a great deal because they want to see us succeed? Well, maybe, sometimes. But most of the time, we're able to get a great deal on a property because we are solving problems for people and we are offering convenience to them. All right? So let's talk about this, right? The problems. What are the problems? And this is also a great way to determine if the person that you're talking to, the seller, is a qualified lead or a qualified seller. So typically speaking, we are trying to locate people that are in distress, or we are trying to locate a seller, a property owner, that owns a property that is in distress. And oftentimes, we can find people that are distressed that also own a distressed property. So both the person and the property is distressed. That's both. That's best case scenario for us as real estate investors because we have a lot of options and solutions to then offer these people. So if the person is distressed, they're going to be dealing with something in their life or the life of a loved one that's going to be causing them to be distressed. If the property has a physical sign of disrepair or it needs rehabbing or updating, then the property is obviously distressed. But sometimes we can come across situations where both the property and the person are distressed, and those typically are situations that we can really, really help these individuals. So before we go to the solution, I want to break down some of the problems here. Let's take a little quick deep dive in here. And if you guys have some other reasons, throw them in the chat. I'd love to see some comments on some of the reasons that you might think that somebody is distressed or a property is distressed. But obviously the 3 Ds, death, divorce, disease, are going to be reasons that a person is going to be distressed. Old age, maybe they need care. Maybe they're not making their mortgage payments and they're getting foreclosed on and it's a pre-foreclosure. Or maybe they haven't paid their taxes, their real estate taxes. So they have properties that have delinquent taxes. I mean, not all of these things are terrible things. Maybe they're getting a job relocation and it's a good thing. Maybe they're getting a new job in a new city, but they have to sell a home before they can leave. Maybe it's not as pretty as that, right? Maybe it is nasty and they're having legal troubles. They're getting sued, or maybe they're having IRS tax issues from unpaid taxes. Or maybe they're a landlord that is just tired of landlording, right? But typically speaking, they're in some sort of trouble or they're dealing with some sort of a situation or some sort of a problem that is causing them to be distressed in some way, shape, or form. So that's the people side. People can be distressed. And here's the honest to God truth, guys and girls. I'm not like hoping that any of these things happen to anybody at any time. Like if I had it my way, everybody would pay their bills and be happy and never have tax problems or foreclosure issues or have to deal with death or divorce or disease. How awesome would this world be without disease? I mean, come on. But the fact is that these things are happening to people every day, like it or not, regardless if I want them to or not. I don't ever wish these things on people, but they're going to happen regardless. We live in a cruel world, right? So the cool thing is, though, is we can help these people that are dealing with these issues. And that's what's so cool about this business. We can actually help them, and then we can get paid to do it. How cool is that? All right, next we're going to move along to the property itself is actually distressed. So the person can be distressed, well, so can the property. And one of the best ways to find distressed properties is to go drive for dollars. I love driving for dollars. It's one of my favorite ways to find leads. And there's tons of resources and apps out there to help you with those efforts. But when we are out, looking for properties that are distressed, or maybe we find somebody that has a personal distress issue and we go out on an appointment to meet them, and then we also see that the property is distressed. That makes really, it makes a great opportunity for us to help these folks. So what are we looking for with the property distress? I mean, this is pretty straightforward, guys and girls. We're looking for tarps on the roof. We're looking for boarded up windows. We're looking for cracked up driveways. We're looking for overgrown bushes and trees and landscaping. I bought a couple houses recently that you couldn't even see the house from the street. There was bushes going over the roof, all right? Peeling and chipping paint, broken down cars in the driveway. Maybe they're up on cinder blocks. Maybe I see a fence that's broken or fallen down or a mailbox that's missing, right? Maybe I am seeing gutters hanging off the house. Or maybe there's hoarder situations where they're aggressive collectors or hoarders and they have stuff in the front yard or in the side yard or in the backyard. Or maybe you can even peek in the windows and see stuff piled up. Or maybe it's just something simple like it needs paint or siding and cleaning, all right? There is an endless amount of reasons that a person can be distressed or a property can be distressed. Now, a person being distressed is going to be a personal issue. The property being distressed is often things that we can see from the curb as we're driving down the road. And again, if we can find a person that's distressed that also owns a property that's distressed, that's where we can really shine as real estate investors. We can come in and we can offer to help them and help solve some problems and offer convenience to these individuals. Okay? So, the solution. Let me back up real quick. Let's talk about what real estate investors do at the bottom there. We solve these problems. These are the problems right here that we are solving. All right, real estate investors, at the end of the day, right, what do? My personal opinion is we offer convenience. We offer to help these people in exchange for a discount on the property. This isn't a charity, it's a business. So we're going to obviously try to get a deal, but in exchange for them giving us a deal, we have to bend over backwards and help them. I'm never expecting somebody to give me a great deal on a piece of property without me offering to provide them convenience. In fact, tons of convenience, right? Lots of it. So let's jump into the solutions. What does the convenience actually look like? Because here's the problems right here. The convenience is the solution, right? There's tons of things that we can all do to be a part of the solution. But most commonly, there are three main things that we can do and or offer to a motivated seller to help them with their situation. Convenience, folks, equals discounts. So we're going to get into the three here in just a second, but let's be realistic for just a moment. There's a million things that we can do to make someone's life more convenient. A couple things that come to mind. Here's a couple things that I've done in the past, right? Just a couple. I've paid to help them move out. I have paid their first month's rent and or deposit on an apartment. All right? I've picked up sellers and driven them to H&R Block to get their taxes done before we buy their property so it's not messy and it's clean. All right? I have bought homes and allowed the seller to stay there and rent it back from me. So again, there is endless amounts of things that we can do to provide convenience to these sellers. Typically speaking, there's three things that we can do or provide or offer to a seller that's going to make up about 80% of the convenience. So again, there's endless amounts of convenience. But if we're to break down the three main things that we can do as real estate investors, here they are. The solutions. Solution number one, we can offer to help them sell that property quickly. So when it comes to selling quick is a relative term, by the way. It's relative. An investor like myself, or hopefully you on this call, on this webinar, can offer to close a deal in 2 to 3 weeks. But even if it takes you longer, like let's say 3 to 4 weeks, that is still a way better approach than them listing a property on the MLS with an agent that needs a ton of work that the agent doesn't even want to mess with, and it could sit there for 2 or 3 or 4 months or longer. In fact, I see properties sitting on the MLS all the time that have been there for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, even a year. So just because you hire a real estate agent and list it on the MLS doesn't mean it's going to sell, and it especially doesn't mean it's going to sell fast. So what do we do as real estate investors? We offer convenience, and one of those conveniences that we can offer is quickness. It is the speed in which we can close. Now again, keep in mind, quick is a relative term. It doesn't mean I'm going to go close a deal in 3 days. I think the fastest I've ever closed a deal is 4 days. We can do those in that amount of time, but that's unrealistic for every deal. But 2 to 3 to maybe 4 weeks is super doable every single time, and that is way faster than 2 to 4 months, right? Way faster. So speed matters. All right, solution number 2, moving on, cash sale. Investors often buy properties with cash or cash equivalents that speed up the sale, and they prevent the need for banks and appraisers to approve the deal. Less hassle equals speed. Okay, so being able to pay cash doesn't mean I'm bringing cash to the table, right? That often means that I'm going to go get a loan. I'm going to use a line of credit. Maybe I'll use a HELOC. Ideally, I'm going to use a private lender or a hard money lender. Or maybe I'll just find a buyer and assign the deal. But the point that I'm trying to make here is somebody in some way, shape, or form is going to be paying cash. So when I'm making offers and when you all are making offers, house flipping 101, when y'all are making offers, you need to tell them that you can close relatively fast. It doesn't have to be in 3 days, but a couple weeks' time. And you need to not have a bunch of contingencies like an appraisal contingency. That's really what I mean when I say I'm a cash buyer. I'm not going to have a bunch of people coming out and appraising the property and the property having to, hit a certain number for me to be able to buy it. I'm buying properties at discounts. I don't think I've, ever bought a property, literally, I'm trying to think right now, ever in my life, that I paid over the appraised amount. I can't think of one time. I'm always buying properties at 20, 25, 30, maybe even as much as a 50% discount to what they're really worth today. Always. All right? We're buying deals. So I'm not going to send an offer that's going to be a hassle, or it's going to require a bunch of contingencies like an appraisal. So solution 1 is quick. Solution 2 is cash, which kind of builds on quick in a way. And then number 3, my favorite of all of the solutions, and it should be your favorite too, as is sale. Investors offer a ton of convenience when they offer to buy properties as they sit, as is, right? We do not require sellers to clean, declutter, paint, fix, update anything or any part of the property. It can be purchased as it sits. This is so important. The average home that my partner Mike and I buy, or maybe it's just one of my own deals, right? The average one is going to typically need $25,000 to $35,000 worth of work or more. I'm trying to think of how many properties that we've bought that didn't need at least $10,000 to $15,000, and I think that I could probably count on both hands how many deals we bought that needed less than $10,000 to $15,000 out of 1,000 deals, right? People aren't going to typically be willing to give you a discount on a property if that property doesn't need a bunch of work. Now, if they are distressed, then yes, of course, right? But typically speaking, the property needs a lot of work. It's a distressed property. It could also be a distressed person, but the property is typically in distress, and that's why they are willing to sell it at a discount, because the convenience that you are offering them has value. It has a lot of value. And I think that's one of the main lessons that a lot of us new individuals, new investors, folks that are just getting in this business need to understand, right? The convenience of paying or buying quickly and paying cash and closing as is, being able to buy the property as it sits, that's convenience, folks. So in exchange for that convenience, we need to get discounts. In fact, I demand them. If I'm going to offer to do all these things for somebody, pay cash, close quick, and not require them to clean it or paint it or fix it or throw all the stuff away inside of it, then I'm going to want a discount, period. I do not buy properties at retail, and I do not ask for discounts. I demand them. And if they aren't willing to sell me a property at a discount, well, then I'm not willing to give them any of my conveniences. This isn't a charity. This is a business, right? So I need to let them know, A, I would love to buy the home from you. B, I'm an investor. I don't pay retail. If you're looking to get full price for this house, I'm not your buyer. You're going to need to fix it up and hire an agent, right? But then C, I'm going to circle back. Same as A, but I'd love to buy this house from you. And I have all these conveniences that I can offer to you, but in exchange, I need to get a deal. So I'm going to demand a discount. All right? Okay, so recap. Quick sale, cash, as is. These are the solutions to these problems 99% of the time. Keep that in mind, okay? All right, now, what do you say to sellers? Okay, so we just kind of took a little spiel on the problems and the solutions, but now we want to talk about what to say to sellers. And really, the goal here is to keep this simple. I don't consider myself to be great at sales. I really don't. And in fact, there's a lot of people online. I can think of 4 or 5 of them just right now that are selling, sales courses to help you get more deals. And I don't necessarily agree with that or them. Now, I'm not on everything, of course, but on most things. And the reason is I don't ever want to be sold something. And in fact, I know when I get sold. I have buyer's remorse typically right away. I know I got sold. I feel it. I don't want to be the person that's trying to sell somebody on something and to force them into it. So I don't necessarily have a bunch of tips or tricks or tactics to try to get somebody to sell me their house. But what I do have is the ability to build rapport and to make a friend. I would much rather do business with somebody that thinks of me as a friend of theirs than somebody that thinks of me as a scummy salesperson that's trying to, force them into signing a contract with some tip or trick up my sleeve. So you don't necessarily need to be good at sales to be good at flipping houses and to convince somebody to work with you. You just need to have some skills to build relationships and make friends. So, what do you say to sellers? Well, keep it simple. Just have a conversation. If you are, cold calling, for example, right? You're going to need an intro or an opener. Well, my advice is to keep it simple. Tell them who you are, how you got their number, and what you can do to help them. So when I make a call, it looks like this. Ring, ring, ring. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. My name is David, and I am with House Sold Easy. And I got your number off of Zillow or Craigslist or Facebook. And I'm calling today to see if you have interest in selling the home. That's it. That's the call. That's the pitch. Don't overthink it. But notice that I want to let them know who you are or who I am, how I got their number, and what I can do to help them. The last thing I want to do is this. Ring, ring, ring. Hey, is this John with 123 Main Street? What do you think John's rebuttal is going to be every single time? Who are you? How you got my number? Why are you calling me? So it's best to address those things before they even have a chance to speak. All right? This isn't a sales tactic or trick. This is common sense, folks. Tell them who you are, how you got their number, why you're calling them. Otherwise, they're going to say, who are you? How did you get my number? Why are you calling me? Right? So let them know who you are, why you're calling them. Maybe you skip trace their information, then you can just tell them, hey, I got your number online. I'm David. I'm with House Sold Easy, and I'm looking to buy a few more houses in the neighborhood. That's how I can help them. Do you happen to own a home? Maybe you own the one over on Maple Street. You want to sell it? It ain't hard. You just got to pick up that phone. And if you aren't doing a cold call, maybe you're sending mail or placing bandit signs. Well, when they call you, try to make that the first thing that you do, right? You're going to answer. So let's flip the script. I placed a bandit sign or sent some direct mail. They call me. I'm going to say, hello, this is David with House Sold Easy. And you're going to use your name and your company. Don't say that. Say your name and your company. And then you're going to then go on and you're going to say, this is David with House Sold Easy. How can I help you? And then they're going to say, hey, Dave, this is Kim. And or we'll use Lisa here. Lisa's in the comments. This is Lisa. And Lisa's going to say, I got one of your postcards. Or I saw one of your bandit signs that says, I buy houses cash. Call me. And I'm going to say, great. Lisa, thank you so much for calling me. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this second part. So if you're calling, then you're going to wait for the yes or the no. But if they call you, then it's already a yes. So then what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, great. I'd love to make an offer to you on this property that you're either calling or that they're calling you about. Would that be okay? And then you're just going to follow up with some super simple basic questions. Great. When are you looking to sell? Why are you wanting to sell? Those two questions are going to help you determine your motivation or their motivation. Next, what's the condition of the property? Right? That's it. That's all I'm asking. Then I'm going to say, I would love to come walk this property or this home with you. Can you meet me Tuesday or Wednesday, and does 12 or 5 work? Reason being is I know for a fact that it's going to be much more difficult to build a ton of rapport on the phone. If I can get in front of them, if you can get in front of them and shake hands, make eye contact with them, be a good listener. These are such simple things. It's going to help you build rapport. It's going to help them know you, like you, trust you. So your goal really should be to get out in the field and to meet people at the home. You know, it's funny when real estate investors, newbie investors come to me and they say, Dave, I've been trying to real estate invest for like 3 or 4 months now. And I'm like, cool. How many appointments have you ran? How many offers have you made? And they're like, I haven't done any of that yet. And it's like, well, then you're not a real estate investor, because those are the activities that real estate investors are doing every day, multiple times a day. A good day for me means I go look at 4 or 5 houses and I go make 4 or 5 offers. I might not win any of those deals, but that's a good day because I'm doing the activities that are required by real estate investors or investing, right? So you got to keep those things in mind. Okay? So again, ask basic questions, but the goal is to set the appointment. Look at the big bold letters at the top. Your objective with the script is to set an appointment. Now, if you're cold calling and they say, no, I don't own a house and I don't own the home you're calling about or any home, then you should follow up with, oh, okay, well, thanks anyway. Do you or anybody you know have a house they want to sell? My partners and I are actively looking to acquire a few more properties in the area, and we'd love to buy some. Do you know anybody? And, you know, sometimes you're going to get a yes, sometimes you're going to get a no. But if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no, every single time. Okay, why do we want to run appointments? Okay, well, I mentioned it earlier. We want to get in front of people and we want to make friends with them. We want to make eye contact and shake hands and be a good listener. But really, more so than that, running an appointment is going to give you a ton of opportunity that you wouldn't have otherwise had or get. All right? It's going to be difficult to make a friend over the phone. Can it be done? Absolutely. But it ain't easy. If you can get out in the field and run an appointment, you now have a tremendous amount of opportunity to make a friend with that person. You have a tremendous amount of opportunity to build rapport and get them to know you and like you and trust you. And if you get out in the field, you're going to have a much better chance of determining their motivation because you can listen and you can ask questions. On the phone, they may hang up on you. They may say they're in a hurry. They may not be interested. But if I'm in the house with them and I just simply say, hey, you know, when do you need to sell? Why are you selling? What's your reason for selling? How quickly do you need to close? Stuff like that. They're going to tell me. They're going to tell me exactly what's going on. All right? So there is no better way to build rapport, make a friend, and determine their motivation by being out in the field and running these appointments. Guys, running appointments is the opportunity maker, if you think about it. Okay? If you don't have any opportunity or you're not doing any deals, it's probably because you're not running any appointments. You got to get out in the field. Okay, what else? Opportunity to determine the repair estimates. I don't know about you, but when I ask a seller how much work a property needs, they just typically say it needs a little or it needs a lot. That doesn't help me come up with a number at all. I need to see it. I need to get my eyes on it. All right? It also gives you the opportunity to learn about the specific neighborhood. When I go out and I run an appointment, I'm either going to go 10 minutes early and drive all around the neighborhood and see what kind of neighborhood it is, if I don't already know. Or when I'm leaving the property, I'm going to loop around the neighborhood 2 or 3 times and get an idea and a feel of what's going on in that neighborhood. And as you do this more and more, it's going to be so beneficial because you're going to start learning neighborhoods that you have never been in before. And in the future, when you get another call for another home, my partner Mike and I, we just bought a home next door to one we own. So whenever we got the seller lead that says, hey, we got this property, and I'm like, wait, what's the address? And they're like, yeah, it's that. And I say, I own the one to the left of it. And they're like, the blue one? And I'm like, yep, the blue one. I know the neighborhood already. And they're like, well, this is perfect. Can you buy mine too? I'm on my way. It's that simple. But you want to get out, you want to drive the neighborhood. It's going to give you opportunity to learn and become a better investor by knowing these different parts of town. It's going to give you the opportunity to make an offer. All right? Making the offer is what gets you inventory. It's what makes you even have the ability to sell something. If you don't have anything under contract or you're never making any offers, you're never going to get anything under contract. And you're never going to make any money in this business. You got to get properties under contract to be able to flip them. Right? This is about flipping 101. Well, you can't flip something that you don't own or have control of. And the beautiful thing about wholesaling specifically is you don't need to buy them. But you need to control them, and you do so by making offers and getting contracts signed. Okay? So keep those things in mind. So Opportunity to make an offer. Opportunity to get a contract signed. I literally just said that. And then it also, assuming you get that contract signed, it gives you the opportunity to get photos, maybe a video, and then to go and place a lockbox on the property. Why on earth would you want to put a lockbox on a property? Well, if it's vacant and you're wholesaling it, you don't want to go over there and meet every single buyer. That's going to take you forever. Put a lockbox on the front door. Get the photos. You can do all of these things on that initial appointment. If you want to fix and flip it, you may need to send contractors over. Maybe you are using a bank and you do have an appraisal. Even though you don't have appraisal contingency, you still may need to get them in. So having a lockbox is going to be super helpful. It's going to make your life a lot more convenient too, especially if you do a lot of deals. So running appointments at the end of the day is so valuable. There's so much opportunity from this. All right. I don't know how you can do any of these other things as well as running the appointment. Like running the appointment is massively important. All right. When it comes to making offers, guys, we're going to use a simple formula. I've done some webinars in the past about breaking down the MAO formula, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it today. And I'll probably do future webinars. So head on over to my YouTube and you can find some free webinars that I've done or even some YouTube videos that is going to break this down in much, much, much more detail. But for the most part, we are solving for MAO. The formula is ARV times discount rate minus repairs. The ARV is going to be our comps. It's going to be the Zestimate. It's going to be, the comps broken down. Typically we're going to look at 1/4 mile, 6 months, and then similar like type properties. If we can't find comps in 1/4 mile and 6 months, then we're going to take it to 12 months or take the 1/4 mile out to 1/2 mile. But in populated areas, you want to try to keep those comps as close as possible and as recent as possible. You don't want to try to comp a 3-story house to a slab, a ranch slab. They're not the same. So the same type, single family, duplex, 2-story. It's not hard. Just you don't want to try to comp a 7,000 square foot house to a 700 square foot house. Try to find ones that are like it. It's so easy, but that's what comping is going to do, right? So we're going to take those comps and we're going to determine an after repair value. The easiest way to do that is look at the damn estimate. It's not always going to be right, but it's going to give you a ballpark. And then we're going to multiply that by a discount rate. A lot of people are going to use 70%. I don't like to use 70% in my formula, even though that is a great place to start. It's a great default because the discount rate is actually a sliding scale. It slides up and it slides down. The average deal is going to probably have a 70% discount. In a highly competitive A-class neighborhood, I'm going to have to, go in at 0.8, which is going to be less of a discount because it's more competitive. But on the flip side, if it's a war zone and I don't even want to go there, I'm going to make my discount rate 0.4, 0.5 instead of 0.7. So 0.7 is just going to be a good default. It's a place to start. And why? Why do we use that? Well, the cost to sell a property is about 10%, assuming that you have it listed on the MLS. You're going to have to pay real estate commissions. You're going to have to pay closing costs, holding costs, utilities, taxes. You might have seller concessions, which means that your buyer wants the roof repaired or a window fixed or this or that. It's either going to cost you money to fix it or it's going to cost you money in discounts. And then last but not least, it may not sell for the asking price. You have to discount the price to get it sold. So regardless, you're typically going to have roughly a 10% cost to sell a property on the MLS. Well, a 70% discount, 0.7 leaves 0.3 or 30%. So if you take 10% off of 30%, that leaves a 20% profit margin. So the cost to sell is fixed. So if we take our discount rate to 0.75 or 75%, then that's going to reduce our profit margin by 5%. So we'll be at 15 instead of 20. Again, the discount rate is a sliding scale, folks. And then last but not least, we're going to subtract our repairs. The repairs, I want you to keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Here in St. Louis, where I live and invest, a low amount of rehab is roughly $15 a foot, maybe $20, give or take, in that range. And I'm not typically buying properties that need less than that. So I always typically factor in at least $15 times the square foot of the property. If it's a middle of the range rehab, Maybe it needs a roof and a kitchen, but the rest of the house is in great shape. Then it's a medium rehab. It's $30 a foot. And if it needs a roof and it needs windows and it needs paint and it needs a kitchen and a bath and a water heater and an HVAC, then that is going to be a high-end rehab, and it's going to cost you $50, maybe even $60 a foot. So we're going to basically take the low, medium, or high number, and we're going to multiply it by the square foot of the property. We can often find that on Zillow. Super easy. 1,000 square foot property, low repairs, $1,500 or $15 a foot. 15 times 1,000 is 15 grand in repairs. That's not rocket science, right? So we're going to solve for our max allowable offer. Once we get that max allowable offer, we are going to offer just under it. So let's say that we get through our formula and my max allowable offer is $265,000. Well, I'm going to offer the seller $250,000 for two reasons. Number one, I need wiggle room. If the most I can pay is $265,000, I'd be pretty dumb to offer them $265,000. Because then when they say, can you do $270,000, I say no, I can only do $265,000. But if I offer them $250,000 and they say, hey, can you do $265,000, the answer is yes, or maybe even below that number. So I want to build in some room for negotiation. You never want to give your first offer first, because then you have no room to wiggle. You got to have wiggle room. And the second reason I want to make an offer below my MAO is because what happens if you make an offer at $250,000, but you're willing to pay $265,000 and they say yes? What happens? Drop a comment down below and tell me. What happens? You just got a better deal than you could have gotten, right? If I'm willing to pay $265,000, but I offer $250,000 and they say yes, I just made an extra $15,000 because I was willing to pay $15,000 more. So you always want to discount the max allowable offer to build in some room, not only for wiggle room, but also because they often will take offers less than your MAO. And if you don't offer them, you're not going to get them accepted. So let's recap here, right? Leads come from marketing efforts. Leads are either going to cost you time or they're going to cost you money. And there's a lot of different ways to get leads. And in fact, in our group that meets weekly, that's the main thing we talk about. What leads are you getting right now? What are you paying for them? How much time are they taking you? Are you getting a good return on investment? Oh, this guy or girl's getting leads this way. I like that. I'm going to try that. We all can make, can get leads in lots of different ways. But once we get those leads, we're going to need to call those sellers and make appointments or set appointments, right? The appointment is very important because, and there was a ton of opportunity that we just talked about there, because it gives you the ability to build rapport with those sellers and to make friends with those sellers. It gives us the ability to see the neighborhood. It gives us the ability to determine those repairs. It gives us the ability or the opportunity to determine their level of motivation. Appointments are by far some of the most important things that we can do in this business to win deals. So then we're going to make offers. If we don't make any offers, we will never have any inventory, folks. So simple. How do you flip something that you don't have? I don't know. I'm literally still trying to figure that one out. How do you flip something that you don't have? Like, I'm literally just going to sit here and laugh about this because, you got to have something to flip it. You might not need to buy it. That's where wholesaling comes in. You might just be able to use contracts to gain control of it, but you got to have something to flip. So you got to make offers to get properties under contract, which gives you inventory. If you don't have any inventory, you don't have anything to sell. I know that may seem super straightforward, but I can't tell you how many times I've had to explain that to people. You got to have something under contract to be able to flip it. All right, moving on. If you can't get an appointment or you can't get an offer or get the ability to make an offer, then you need to follow up with your prospects. Even if you are doing marketing and you can't get them on the phone, you need to follow up with them until you can get them on the phone. And then you should set the appointment, and then you should make an offer. And if they don't like your offer, you should still follow up. Follow up never stops, ever. Well, that's not true. There's 3 reasons that I'll stop following up. But other than these 3 reasons, follow up should never stop, ever. What are the 3 reasons? It's pretty straightforward. Number 1, they tell me to stop calling them. I don't want to be the guy that's blowing people up and getting sued for harassment, and I know you all don't want to either. So if somebody tells you to stop calling, stop texting, honor them. Have integrity. All right? The other 2 are they sell it to me or they sell it to somebody else. That's it. Those are the only 3 reasons that I'm gonna not follow up. Other than those 3 reasons, I'm gonna keep following up with them daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it's gonna take. You must follow up with sellers. You must. Okay? The average deal that we do takes us about 4 months, sometimes longer. That's average. That doesn't mean that I can't get a deal today and get an appointment tomorrow and get a contract at the appointment and have it sold by the end of the weekend and close on it in 2 weeks and get paid. That happens all the time. But the average deal is going to require lots and lots of follow-up. And in fact, the people that aren't doing any of the follow-up in this business are the people that are going to get left behind, and they're not going to win deals. So you want to keep that in mind. And then last but not least, you want to get the contract. When the seller is ready and we both agree on the price, we can get the contract signed. Now again, remember when I talked about the convenience that I'm offering? I'm offering a ton of convenience to these sellers in exchange for these discounts and vice versa. Why is follow-up so important? It's so important. I can't force a seller to be motivated, but you can be there for them when they become motivated. You can't force somebody to be motivated. You can't. And like I was saying earlier, I don't ever want to wish death, divorce, disease on anybody. Those are terrible things. But these things happen. And when they do happen, I want to be the person that they think of that can help them out of that situation when they happen to them. So I'm not forcing people to be motivated. I'm not even wishing that they were going to become motivated. But my job is to get a bunch of leads, add them into a CRM or a system, and then nurture those leads. Make friends with them. Go run appointments with them. Follow up with them. So when they become motivated, guess who they call? It's very, very straightforward. Look at some of these statistics, guys. 48% of salespeople never follow up. 25% never make a second contact. Only 10% of salespeople are going to make more than 3 contacts. Let's look at the actual percentage of sales that are made on the bottom part there. 2% are made on the first contact, 3 on the second, 5 on the third, 10 on the fourth. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. I'm going to go as far as say there is no 12th or end of that. 80% of sales are going to be made after the 5th touch. Let's just keep it simple and leave it at that. Let me repeat that. 80% of sales are going to be made on the 5th or greater touch. We close deals all the time where we've called or texted or followed up or emailed or whatever 30, 40, 50 times before they agree to sell to us. 30, 40, 50 times. But if you stop after the first or second time, the odds of you getting a deal are almost 0. You should just stop now. You gotta get good at your follow-up efforts. It's so incredibly important. Contracts are going to equal potential profits. Okay? So regardless of your exit strategy, we need to get signed contracts, which I like to refer to as inventory, in order to make money in the real estate business. All right? Look at the right side over here. And guys and girls, again, if you're finding value in this, hit that like button for me. I'd really appreciate that. Marketing equals leads. Right? What is marketing? Marketing is just a fancy word for getting people on the phone. That's it. There's nothing to it. All right? But marketing is going to get you leads. It's going to get you people on the phone. Basically, marketing is just a fancy word for getting people on the phone, in my opinion. That's it. Right? So you got to do something to get people on the phone. Either you're calling them or you're doing something so they call you. Well, once you get those individuals, you now have opportunities. Leads give you opportunities, but you got to get them on the phone. You got to call them or they got to call you. And then you're going to be able to go set some appointments. Appointments are going to give you so much. We talked about the appointments right here in this slide, right here. All the different opportunity to make a friend, build rapport, determine motivation, determine repairs, learn about the neighborhood, make an offer, get a contract, get photos, get video, place a lockbox. All of these simple things. So appointments are super, super, super important. They're going to give you a lot of opportunity. Well, offers are going to give you that inventory. So once you're on the appointment and you make the offer, you need to get a contract signed so you can have inventory. Well, inventory equals the exit options. It gives you options to then flip the property. Well, when you flip it, that's when you get paid. And you got to follow up with everyone that is not ready to sign a contract today. So what do these exit strategies look like? Again, this isn't a webinar on exit strategies or breaking down the MAO firm. It's about flipping 101. Well, there's lots of different exit strategies. Wholesale, wholetail, fix and flip, rental burr, creative finance or seller finance. There's joint venture opportunities. You can list the property if you're an agent, and the list goes on and on and on. In fact, there's probably 100 different exit strategies, but there's no reason for me to list all those out because you can't even get to an exit strategy if you are not marketing. And you're not going to get any leads without marketing. The leads give you the opportunity to run appointments, and the appointments give you the opportunity to make offers. And offers give you inventory. You got to follow the flow. So simple. But that is really what we're going to do. We're going to then determine our exit strategy. And then regardless of the exit strategy, we need signed contracts. We need inventory in order to make money in the real estate business. So we are at 2:57. I think we started right on time today, minus about 2 minutes of making sure y'all could hear me and see me. So I don't really have time for a Q&A today, but I want to highlight the fact that we have this awesome program. And, oh, come on, install later. This program is called Affordable REI Coaching. And the Affordable REI Coaching is going to give you guys access to 5 Steps to Your First Deal, Wholesaling 101, Ultimate Wholesale Course, Real Estate Data, 50 plus ways to find off-market deals, 3 pillars of the wholesaling real estate, a course on driving for dollars, a course on bandit signs, a course on credibility packet, and even a course on landlording. All right? This is an incredible opportunity. Down below this video, there should be a button that you can select to get more information. Otherwise, you can use the URL Affordable REI or discountpropertyinvestor.com/affordable REI. And this is an amazing opportunity, guys and girls. It's $250 to join. It's $100 a month. There are no contracts, no long-term commitments. You can quit or cancel at any time if you don't find value. We're going to get access to 10 courses, access to a private members-only community, and then we have 1 weekly group coaching call on Wednesday evenings. It is an incredible opportunity, and I want to make that offer to you all here today. All right, I got time for 1 or 2 questions, and then I got to wrap it up, folks. Ray says, thanks for the info, David. What is the single best marketing strategy that you can elaborate on that will increase my chances of getting the phone to ring? Ray, that is a great question. And, we do tons of different types of marketing. And the way I look at it is all marketing works. It's just, are you doing enough of it, right? So consistency in marketing is almost more important than type of marketing. If you send 10 postcards out and you don't get a call, are you going to stop sending postcards? I hope not. Send 1,000, send 2,000, send 5,000, right? So it just depends. When it comes to marketing, it's either time or money. Often both, but it's at a minimum either. So you're either going to spend time calling, texting, emailing, door knocking, driving, networking, right? Or you're going to spend money to get your message delivered in front of these other individuals so they can call you. So when you're spending money, it looks like direct mail, bandit signs. That's time and money. You got to go place them. Could be Google AdWords, could be social media marketing. maybe you have a lot of money and you want to go get a billboard or get on the television or maybe do some radio ads, right? Or there's much more cost-effective approaches like park bench advertising or bus stop advertising, right? Sometimes I will go to RIA clubs and I'll put postcards on everyone's cars. Now, I'm trying to find buyers when I'm doing that marketing effort, not sellers, but it's still marketing at the end of the day. So to answer your question, Ray, there is no single best marketing strategy, because if there was, everybody would be doing it, and then it wouldn't be the best anymore, right? You want to try to find a marketing strategy that you can get good at and that you can master and that you can have consistency in. I would much rather see you or anybody else watching this video get really, really good at one or two types of marketing than be bad at 20 of them. That makes no sense whatsoever. So there is no single best. It just makes sense for you. What makes sense for you? How much time and money do you have to dedicate to your marketing? And then from there, determine a marketing approach that you can do consistently every day, every other day, every 3 days, whatever it may be. But consistency is going to win when it comes to marketing every single time. I don't think anybody can disagree with me on that. I love it. All right, guys and girls, I got to run. Check out Affordable REI. This is the craziest deal ever. It's $100 a month after you get signed up. No long-term commitments. You get access to a bunch of courses. You get access to a private community where you can DM me and everyone else in that community and create chats and threads and get help with your questions and your deals in real time, as well as one weekly group coaching call included. This is a no-brainer. I got to run. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, and I will hopefully be doing this again next week and every Friday moving forward. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much.